Hello and welcome to our lesson on unit fractions. Today we will explore the fascinating world of unit fractions and understand how they can be used as multiplicative inverses of whole numbers. This lesson is designed to deepen your understanding of fractions and enhance your problem-solving abilities. In this lesson, we'll cover understanding what a unit fraction is, learning how to use unit fractions as multiplicative inverses of whole numbers, finally applying this new knowledge to various examples to solidify our understanding. In our previous lessons, we've established a solid foundation by learning about fractions and the four operations applied to them: addition, subtraction, multiplication, and division. You've also practiced simplifying fractions and finding common denominators. With this foundation, we can now delve into the concept of unit fractions and their role as multiplicative inverses. This technique is particularly useful in solving equations and simplifying expressions where you need to undo multiplication by a fraction. For instance, if you know that 5 times some number equals 1, you'll use the unit fraction as a multiplicative inverse to find that number, which in this case is 1/5. Understanding this concept empowers you to tackle more complex fraction problems and enhances your mathematical toolkit. A unit fraction is a fraction where the numerator is 1. For example, 1/2, 1/3, 1/4, etc. are all unit fractions. The general form is 1 over n, where n is any positive integer. One interesting property of unit fractions is that when you multiply a unit fraction by its denominator, you always get 1. For example, 1/2 times 2 equals 1. 1/3 times 3 equals 1. 1/4 times 4 equals 1. This is because any fraction multiplied by its denominator essentially cancels out the denominator, leaving the numerator, which in the case of a unit fraction is 1. We refer to this property as the unit fraction acting as a multiplicative inverse. The multiplicative inverse of a number is what you multiply it by to get 1. Essentially, multiplying by 1 over n undoes multiplication by n. Suppose you have a number x and you multiply it by n, where n is any positive integer. To reverse this multiplication, you multiply by the unit fraction 1 over n. For example, let's say x equals 5 and n equals 4. If you multiply 5 by 4, you get 5 times 4 equals 20. To undo this process, you multiply 20 by 1/4, which gives you 5. Conversely, if you initially multiplied a number x by 1, n to revert it, you would multiply by n. For example, let's say x equals 7 and n equals 3. If you multiply 7 by 1/3, you get 7 over 3. To reverse this, you multiply 7 over 3 by 3, which gives you 7. To visualize this, consider the following diagram. Imagine you have a rectangle representing one whole unit. Divide the rectangle into equal parts based on the unit fraction's denominator. In this case, n equals 8. The unit fraction 1 over n represents one of these parts. Multiplying 1 over n by n recombines all the parts, giving you back the whole rectangle, which represents 1. These concepts are at the heart of understanding how unit fractions work and how they can be used to undo operations, providing invaluable tools for solving equations and simplifying expressions. Now let's practice these concepts with some example problems. Consider the equation 4x equals 1. We need to find the value of x. Here we use the concept of a unit fraction. The multiplicative inverse of 4 is the unit fraction 1/4. To isolate x, we multiply both sides of the equation by 1/4, giving x equals 1/4. Now let's consider a slightly more complex equation. 2/3 multiplied by y equals 1. To solve for y, we need the multiplicative inverse of 2/3, which is 3 over 2. Then we multiply both sides by 3 over 2. The 3 over 2 and 2/3 will cancel each other out on the left side, leaving y. This simplifies to y equals 3 over 2, which is our solution. Let's work through a final example. 5 over 6 multiplied by z equals 1. Here, the multiplicative inverse of 5/6 is 6 over 5. We multiply both sides by 6 over 5, and again the 6 over 5 and 5/6 cancel each other out, leaving us with z equals 6 over 5. These examples demonstrate how to use unit fractions as multiplicative inverses to solve equations. Understanding this concept will enable you to tackle a variety of fraction problems with greater ease and confidence. In today's lesson, we explored the concept of unit fractions and their role as multiplicative inverses. We began by defining a unit fraction as a fraction with a numerator of 1 and a positive integer denominator, such as 1/2, 1/3, and 1/4. We then examined a key property of unit fractions. When multiplied by their denominators, they yield 1. This property underpins their function as multiplicative inverses. Next, we delved into how unit fractions can be used to undo multiplication. For example, multiplying a number by a unit fraction 1n reverses the effect of previously multiplying the number by n. Conversely, multiplying a number by n undoes the multiplication by 1n. Through examples, we illustrated how these operations work in practice, reinforcing the concept that unit fractions are powerful tools for solving equations and simplifying expressions. By mastering these concepts, you can enhance your problem-solving skills and efficiently tackle more complex fraction problems. Watch the rest of the GCSE Maths course at Sophos Education.